Hey, Flosstube, Pam here, stitching between the lines. I'm in Florida. My last day is coming to an end. I was going to wait until later in the evening when the sun was going down. I had all these artistic ideas where the camera would be pointed where you could see out the window and see the beautiful sunsets that we get to see here over the Gulf of Mexico. But the sun doesn't set for hours. Well, 8:15 I think is sunset. And part of our last day in Florida ritual is you got to do all the laundry. So I will be in my pajamas before 8 o'clock tonight. So I wasn't making a video when the sun is setting. On Instagram, I posted a picture of a very, very, very pretty sunset. They are beautiful. Over the Gulf, especially if there's been a little bit of weather, rain or clouds are formed, and everywhere you look, every time you look, it is more beautiful than the previous time. So you can't decide which picture and which time did you take the best picture of it. I took some pictures, made a collage, actually did 2 of them, and sent them to Shutterfly. I don't think I can show you without making you like crazy dizzy. And they're had them printed poster size, and they're just beautiful. It's the sunset over the Gulf. You just can't beat it. So anyway, I couldn't do that. There's a couple things I couldn't do, and you're probably saying, well, why are you making a video? Well, because it's my last day in Florida where I got good internet. So I'm thinking, I don't even think I have enough to talk about to be longer than 15 minutes so that I get to use my speedy internet, like by sending it via my phone. I can get it up from my iPad. At home it takes a couple hours just to get those 15 minutes up. Whatever. I should say the date. Today's August 7th. It's 90. I had some errands to run this morning, or after lunch. It was right after lunch. The car said it was 93 degrees. At home, where I'm going tomorrow, today and tomorrow, it's not even getting out of the 60s. It wasn't out of the 60s over the weekend, except my husband said he played golf and it was 75 and beautiful. Now that is nice, but he would have been out on a hillside over one of the lakes and it would have been beautiful. I don't know, it's going to be a shock to my system, although I really like the cooler temperatures, but it's August 7th. Come on, we have had a non-summer this year in New York, so here in Florida, where it has rained a lot, it's nice to get some heat, some pool time, see the green, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, when I'm here, especially like a time like this when I'm here by myself, I usually get lots and lots and lots and lots of sewing done. I brought 2 things to sew, like quilt related. I did one of them. It took about an hour and a half. And the other one's coming home with me in pieces. I never touched it, never took it out of its bag. I don't know. I'm having a hard time with my quilting drive. I don't know. It'll come back. I'm going away for the weekend in a couple weeks with some friends. We're going on a quilt retreat. And hours and hours of sewing. I am very much looking forward to it. So just like with cross stitch, it's fun to do. We don't get to do it with friends all that often, although there are quilt guilds and sewing days and whatnot, but I'm looking forward to that. I'll take all the pieces I cut. They'll just have had a trip to Florida, and then they're going back to New York. And I watch a lot of Flosstube, and I get to watch whatever I want on TV. At home we have sort of this middle ground of shows we watch together in the evening. We have my husband and I, the best part of the day is the couple hours we spend in the evening just watching TV and cross-stitching, visiting, whatever. He watches things on his iPad, I don't know. But anyway, if I turned on some of the shows I like on Discovery Health or TLC, you wouldn't put up with it. So I get to watch a lot of that here. And I was craving one of my favorite movies a couple weeks ago, and I was looking for it, and I thought, oh, I must have left that in Florida. So sure enough, tell me, if you have never seen this movie, Michael, with John Travolta, let me just say, gotta love me some John Travolta dancing. Michael, it's a great movie. It's a romance. I don't know if you call it a romantic comedy. I don't know that there's a little bit of humor in there, but not the kind of comedy you usually see in a romantic comedy. But love this movie. It came out in 1996, so it's been around a few years. There's some fun actors like that you don't. I don't know. I'm trying to read the back because I don't know their names. William Hurt and Andy McDowell, produced by Nora Ephron, and I think her sister-in-law. So anyway, enjoyed that last night. Enjoyed some Michael, some John Travolta, and I don't know. It's boring and mellow and calm here. So anyway, the real reason we're here is so that we can check out what I did on my winter sampler. As I said before, it's the only thing coming to Florida with me. Prior to arriving, I had Wonderland done, and I had the Valentine girl done, and I had a few stitches, but not all the stitches in the skate runner done, and I had just the tiniest little bit of the edge of the tree done so that I could do the outlining that went with the Valentine. So in my week and a half here, I got this much done, which this part, the ice skating, the big motif in the middle is the ice skaters and some sled ride, kids on sleds, a winter scene. I needed to touch on it anyway so that I could do the edge. I just kind of kept going, and I only actually finished, the final stitches on the skate today. I really hate doing flowers. I hate outlining flowers. I hate stitching flowers. I did that right away in the beginning. But anyway, one of the things I was going to talk about are French knots. There's a lot of French knots in there. I know my better sense tells me I should have left my French knots till the end, because if they get a little too much handling or friction or whatever, they'll stop looking nice. I had a vision like with the sunset over my shoulder, you'll just have to imagine, of showing French knots, doing French knots. I'll talk about French knots for a minute. I know everybody hates French knots. I learned to embroider when I was very young. I got my first little stamped kit when I was 8. French knots and lazy daisies and that sort of stuff was what we did. So there's some things I've learned about French knots that we'll talk about. I just can't exactly show you. A couple things. Let me just put my needle in there. Always have enough thread when you're doing your French knots. If you're trying to use your skimpy little tail, tiny little bit of thread to get some French knots in, it's not going to work. Give yourself lots of thread. You need to be able to move lots of things around. When you wind the thread around your needle, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to say things like, I'm going to talk about what your left hand needs to be doing when your right hand is holding the needle. You wind it around, whatever you're going to wind it around, once, twice, 3 times, whatever it is, and then your left hand pulls tight, and don't, no matter what you do, lose that tension between your needle and that thread that you just wound around. Tension. If you always have tension there, that French knot will come out perfect. So you're holding your tension, put your needle where you're going to put it. I like to work flat. If I'm working on French knots, I like to lay my fabric down flat. So I put my needle where it's going to go, right? I got 2 hands at work here. Put it where it's going to go, and then I get that, like I have to transfer a little bit my fingers to hold that thread that I am pulling taut against the fabric. Your needle is in, you're holding taut, you poke your needle in, and then you go get it and pull, and do not let up on that tension until it is literally pulled out of your hand. So when you put your needle in, make sure you pull it tight and that knot is down against the fabric while your needle is part way in. Hold it tense. I mean, we're not giving ourselves achy knuckles or anything over this. That's not what I'm talking about, but don't lose the tension. Pull your needle through, keep pulling, keep tension, and until that little bit of thread needs to get pulled to make that knot. Don't let up the tension. And the other thing that I have learned about French knots, and I know this is not the way the instructions say to do them, it's a little tougher on Ada. If you have linen, you can do this better. The instructions for a French knot are that you come up, wherever you're going to come up, and then that you go back down in the very same hole that you came up in. But I know everybody who's made a French knot knows that it's very easy to pop that knot right back through to the back. So I tend to, because it's easier to do in the coming up than it is when you're pulling tension and holding on to that and making your knot, to come up a little thread over one way or another. If you're using linen, it's easy just to move over one fiber. When you're using Ada, I just have to pierce a little bit of a hole in the fiber somewhere and come up. It'll be hidden under your knot. And then I go down in the hole that you are aiming for with your French knot. And that way you have a fiber that's between that knot, and your knot isn't going to pull through. It shouldn't pull through if you've done it right. It'll sit right on that fiber and you won't lose it. If that doesn't sound like something you want to do and you really want to come up and go back down in the very, very, very same hole, then go for it. I can't stop you. But I will say, if you're doing a series of French knots, you need to secure your thread after a few knots and then start again. So if you were doing like this whole, where's my knots? These French knots. This is a whole long strip of them. If you wanted to keep going and do them all, you need to maybe do 3 and then secure your thread and then start again. You don't have to cut it. You can just keep going. That way, if you do end up pulling them through to the back, you won't pull one after another through to the back. You'll just pull until you get to the next spot where you've secured your thread. So there, French knots shouldn't be so horrible and hard. You need to keep some tension, otherwise you'll end up with a knot that's too loose, a knot that forms too high up on your thread. That happens, and then you have a little saggy French knot. You don't want to do it. And sometimes if one pops through, you just secure it somewhere on the back and start again. It's not all easy peasy. My French knots, there were some swear words running through my head when I was doing these. Part of it is because I wasn't sitting at a table. I was trying to do them with my magnifier, with my pattern on my lap, and trying to lay it down on my lap every time, and then it moved far away. I don't know. I know how to do them better than that. So anyway, do some French knots. You'll maybe discover you really can like some French knots. And speaking of French knots, the last time I showed it, I talked about how I really hadn't put the little girl's eyeballs in because I was nervous. Sometimes the French knot eyeballs can make them look scary. I put them in and think her face is just adorable. That really is a cute face. So anyway, if you're by chance following Brian of Blitz Stitch, he posted on Instagram his progress on his winter sampler. I think he posted it yesterday or the day before. And I kind of laughed and thought to myself, if we combined these two, his and mine, we would have almost the whole picture. Neither of us has the whole skating scene done. But he's, you know how he works in the diagonal, so he's coming across like this and just is starting into this. So he's got it done all the way across there. So he has all the things done that I don't. I have things done that he doesn't. Neither of us have this. So anyway, he's going to finish his first, I bet, because I'm tired of it. I shouldn't say that. I am outlining as I go, so I have that going for me so far. But anyway, I'm looking forward to going home to Early Americans, which is what I'm switching out with this one. Except Nathan Hale's is huge. You see Nathan Hale's house? Holy guacamole. So anyway, I'm almost done 15 minutes, so next time I'll be in New York, where my house is going to be a revolving door of company for a while, so I don't know what's going to happen. So anyway, have a good Monday night. Bye.